You're listening to the Savoir Faire Audio Experience.
Are you ready?
The Savoir Faire Experience is your guide to everything that has to do with lifestyle. From dating, rides, style, and entertainment. All brought to you by the editor of Savoir Faire magazine, Robert White. Anything goes on this audio experience. So, let's go.
It's still the best.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Savoir Faire Audio Experience. Thank you guys for listening, following, sharing, showing all the love. Definitely appreciate it. Another great interview coming to you today. This is kind of a good one. We're going to kind of bounce around a little bit on a handful of topics, but this is a great guest. So Abby Brody is here. How you doing, Abby?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate you finding some time to chit-chat with us today. I came across you on LinkedIn and Instagram, and then a PR agency sent you to me, and I was like, oh, yes, this is all fate. Let's talk to Abby. And so I'm excited about just kind of connecting and learning a lot more about your platform and what you kind of have going on over there. And just kind of in-depth, obviously, straight from the horse's mouth is what we're looking for. But I want to kind of build a little bit of a timeline so we can learn a little bit more about you. And I know you've done a lot in your life so far, and there's been little twists and turns that have happened. So I want to go down all those twists and turns with you. So maybe we can just start by just kind of building some backstory, and you can tell us a little bit about who you are and some of your background.
Absolutely. So I am a lifetime educator. My passion, I feel like everyone has a mission in life. And my mission was really clear early on. I've been in the classroom for over, I want to say close to 30 years now. And it was, we need to fix this broken system and rethink it for the modern era. What is learning and what does the future of school need to be to make this generation ready for today, which looks very different than yesterday. And gosh, it's changing so fast. So I have been so blessed to have started multiple schools. I'm part of founding teams. I created the biggest private school in New York City, and then created a gap year program, which I believe is part of the solution. And then actually my most ambitious project was rethinking all of higher education, and creating the first rethink of what college could be, where we leverage technology, AI, all that good stuff to personalize learning, but then double down on community. How can technology bring out humanity? That's a huge piece of it. But in that, as you said, there's twists and turns. And during that time, my husband and my son both got diagnosed with extremely rare and aggressive cancers within 6 months of each other. I lived 2 years in the hospital with my youngest, and I want to tell you, he is cancer-free and playing rugby. So really
That's
cancer-free
amazing.
now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's amazing. And it gave me this kind of revolution as someone who spends a lot of time as a data scientist in education and talking about protocols, and we call them learning curriculums. In science, we call them protocols in the healthcare system, that this one-size-fits-all model is not serving anyone. And I knew that to be true in education because I built schools and saw that, but I didn't really understand the life and death consequences of it in healthcare. So since then, I've been on a mission to bring personalized solutions to education and healthcare.
Okay, very cool. And I mean, obviously, a part of this is that you are a public speaker. You talk on this topic heavily. You've written some books about some of this stuff. It's pretty unique that you've kind of got this platform kind of established for yourself, which is awesome. So how many years have you been, you said 30 years of teaching, but how many years have you been diving into this education perspective of that?
I would say the N=1 movement started about 2 years ago, but I've been tinkering the space probably for 15, but really saying, okay, there is a way to do this. Because if you went to most educators and said, we need to give personalized learning to each child, they'd laugh in your face. That's really hard to do, and especially for a teacher who has 27 first graders in their classroom. That's an impossible thing to ask one human. But now we can do it. It's being done. And how do we scale that? So I've been in this space for a really long time. I right now have a free ebook. I'm really passionate about just helping parents navigate because it's happening so fast. The digital tech divide between kids and their parents has always existed, right? The parents say, oh, my kid can do this better than me, right? We've heard that all of our lives. It has gotten to such a point, the delta is so large that it's dangerous. So I'm just doing whatever I can to help spread the word of helping parents understand AI. Most parents that I speak to are like, oh, that's not for me. I'm not techie. No, this is for you, because there's no way for you to parent a child today and make them a whole human with not understanding this technology and how it will impact their child. So I have a free course, by the way, all on my website, where you can learn, geared towards parents, like how does AI work for me as a parent. And then I also have a free ebook, which is totally free, just to explain what Gen Alpha is going to be like, what educational institutions they will need. And I have a loving name for that book, because I call Gen Alpha cyborgs, because they're like human beings, right?
Yeah.
They're robots. They are. I mean, they have this technology and they're augmented humans. Sure, they're not beeping and we don't have to plug our children at night, but we might as well, right? They're close to it. So it's a book about what it means to be parenting a cyborg, because it's not easy.
Yeah, very cool. I saw this on your website, right on the homepage of abbybrody.com. You just scroll all the way to the bottom, and it says Raising the Cyborg Generation. Just slap your email in there, and boom, the book's in your email, which is very cool. I want to dive into N1, though, because this is a very unique thing that you've kind of branded, created. And when I was reading through the definition of what this was and how it all matters, and you just kind of mentioned a little bit of what this is, but give me your definition of N equals 1. What's this all about?
Yeah. So when living in the hospital with my son, and I'm going to focus on my son, my husband had cancer too. I'm going to focus on my son here. He had such a rare cancer. He was in a cohort, and he was in a study. And I looked at the N, right? In science, the N. What is the number in the study? And my N for that was 13. But when I dug into that N, I saw these kids were all so different, ranging from 6 months to 14 years old, tumors in various different places, responding completely different. And I saw that firsthand. So my son is in this study, and he has to do 8 rounds of chemo to even get the next phase in the study, which would be surgery. And it is deemed, after 8 rounds of chemo that did leave him with hearing impairment, that he's chemo resistant. Now, we had to go through 8 rounds of it, even though they knew he was chemo resistant after the 3rd round, because that's what the protocol is. He's an N of 13. He can't get off that protocol or it messes up the study. And that was like an awakening moment for me.
Geez.
I'm like, wait, hold on. Yeah, my kid has to get more poison because he's an N of 13. No, my kid is 1. He's an individual. And that was just like, oh my goodness, we need to address this immediately moment.
Yeah, that's deep. I'm now going into my parent brain too, and I'm just like, I'm not sure how I would respond to that. Someone told me that you knew this after 3 and we still had to do more. That's insane.
Yeah.
And so the N1 process really, N equal 1's process for you is really being able to kind of do an individualized thing. Every human is different. Every person is different. Everyone's going to learn differently. Everyone's body reacts differently to different stuff. So now your mission is really kind of being able to educate people on this platform. What are some of the solutions for this? And we mentioned about teachers and obviously in the medical field as well, but let's go to the teacher topic for a second. How are they able to use technology to be able to give 31 different educational plans to a classroom of 31, kindergartners potentially?
Yeah, I love that question. And you know what? I'm gonna give the third world a little shout out here, because we are seeing some really interesting models coming out of Northern Africa where they are not risk adverse, right? When we make changes in the United States, as you know, with the bureaucracy and any educational change, you're going to get a lot of pushback. Rightfully so. Parents are wary of technology, nervous about change. They want their kids to have the childhood they had, but some technology can actually benefit children. So in regards to AI, every student can have their own individualized AI agent that tracks them and makes sure, because what happens in the general classroom is, today's fractions. We're going to do fractions. On Friday, there's going to be a fractions test, and Sally is going to fail the test. But next day's decimals. So we move on. Sally failed. We're moving on. That will not happen if every student has an AI agent. And we can do the exact learning of a full day in class with an AI personalized tutor for every kid in an hour. So these kids will spend an hour, right? They might all be grouped as an N. I'm going to use that word, as kindergartners. And let's be clear, the only thing kindergartners share is an H. Other than that, if you've been in a kindergarten classroom, you will know that these kids have nothing in common. I mean, just the boys versus girls alone with the prefrontal cortex and the developmental differences between these kids, it's very hard to teach all of them individually. But if we use technology to allow that Sally to continue doing fractions, while Jimmy maybe is doing pre-algebra. What an incredible gift. But this is what I love about it. So now it's 1 hour on screen time. And I would argue in a given American classroom right now, they're doing 3 hours of screen time. So if someone says to me, oh my goodness, you're increasing screen time. No. There's a lot of screens happening. It's a lot of passive screens. I put on a video, the kids watch it, take notes, right? This is a real way of doing it. And then what about the other 7 hours of the day? Why can't they learn to garden and cook their own food? Let's bring back recess. Recess is now in most schools 20 minutes. So this is how a N of 1 classroom can look like. You can really use technology to give every student one-to-one, but then double down on group work, community, group thinking, projects, all this stuff that kind of gets the side view in education right now. Life skills even, how to change a tire. Things that really you need to be competent in life are not present in most schools. And they will tell you they don't have the time. Now they do. They have the time.
Yeah. No, I like it because the new tech. I'm an avid user of AI. I am not afraid of it at all. I give it a lot of information, probably more than most. If it ever takes over the world, it's going to know everything about me. I'll be one of the first people to be hacked. But learning about these tools and kind of being excited about them is kind of unique because now you're talking about utilizing these for a specific student, right? And being able to kind of build a plan and strategize that makes sense for that one person. And having AI do that 31 times over for a class of 31 people potentially, or as our example, does make it extremely simple if the teacher can just give the right commands and kind of connect stuff. That's kind of unique because I've actually I've cloned myself on GPT, right? I've made one of me. I put all my podcast episodes in there, my article writing, my anything that I've written basically, and turned it into me as a writer to use it as a tool to like brainstorm with myself, which is kind of interesting. And so that's been kind of a unique tool. But this same kind of technology can be clearly used for anybody to kind of adapt a strategy or a plan to help someone with education. And you also took this to the level of the medical industry, which is kind of surprising. So talk to me about that side of it.
After an experience like I had, you can't walk away. I lived on a pediatric oncology ward for 2 years. I just couldn't walk away from these kids. So in regards to what it looks like, is you're a study, you're an N of 1. And what I focus on is helping people, one, advocate for themselves, advocate for their children, their N of 1 when sick, but also I'm really interested in helping support actually with technology. So my husband and I are starting a company that we're hoping that will open source and allow you as an individual to start your own N of 1 studies. Because what we see right now is people are taking their healthcare in their own hands, and the kind ones are writing it up on Reddit. Right? If you go on Reddit and you can see, I cured my migraine disorder by doing this, this, and this. But there's really, it's just a guy on Reddit. We need to legitimize these biohackers, these people who are having incredible results, allow them to share their research with data behind it, and open source research so everyone can be an N of 1 and take ownership of their health journey. So there are solutions I'm working on there, but really the number one thing is educating parents, especially on pediatric wards, that your child is an N of 1 and that you need to think about precision. Now, the Precision Board of Medicine that I'm on the board of is it is the first new medical school in the United States. We're really excited because I feel like the issue in healthcare actually isn't research. We have a whole lot of research, and especially what's happening in AI. There's some incredible things happening, but the doctors go to medical school and then they're done. And now they're 40, 50 years old, and they have no idea how to use these new diagnostics where you can really biomap the genes and target therapies based on the person's profile. There's really no education for that. So we are going to try to fill that gap. So this is where education comes back in, because that's my passion. We are going to retrain doctors, upskill them so they have the modern tools of today to provide personalized care to the masses. Now, it is happening at the higher end level. Now, there are clinics and groups that you can join for $1 million a year that will give you personalized meds. There's no excuse that it shouldn't be mass market. We can do that now. We have the technology, and the Board of Precision Med is going to help push that forward.
So, I mean, this is interesting, and this is kind of interesting to me. Like, I'm thinking on the layman's terms, and a lot of people that are going to be listening to this are also going to be on the layman's terms. So I'm using GPT to kind of play around and create basic stuff. But you're talking about in the medical field, like how are people utilizing the AI technology to be able to manage their own health? I'm not saying people need to. You still need to see doctors, but like,
Totally.
how can people use AI to do that? Because the symptoms that I'm feeling, I can tell ChatGPT what I'm feeling, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to trust AI with my medical records, right?
No.
Yeah.
But
So
we're going to get there.
yeah.
I mean, there are AI platforms specifically being designed and built for this. Let's start with the doctors first. The first thing is we need to re-educate and upskill the doctors, right? Like they should be able to, the healthcare system should be able to absorb this for the patient. There should be trust. I hope we can get there. And that's what the Precision Board's about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Helping doctors understand these tools. For a doctor who's been practicing for 35 plus years, all of a sudden the entire landscape has changed. I mean, there's blood screens now for cancers. There's things you can do for your patients. It's just moving so fast. There's a lack of education. The education is really where the healthcare, I believe, is falling short of the technology that is available. It's just not in the people's hands. And I would argue not even in the doctor's hands. And when it comes to you as an individual and how you could be an N of one, it first starts, and this is the hardest part for parents, stop comparing. When I was living in the hospital, all I did was compare my kid against the other cancer kids, thinking that would give answers. No, that's going to be a dead end, and you're just going to be miserable. You have to look at your child's own data. So I encourage, we've had our entire family genomes mapped. Like, it was an expensive process. I know everyone can't do that. But when you have 2 rare cancers in your family, you start looking at things. And just interesting enough, because people always ask, 0 genetic markers for either of the rare aggressive cancers. They have been identified by all scientists who have looked at environmentally caused. So that's another thing. What's your N of 1 in your environment? First, what is going on in your environment that makes it unique? Because my kid had neuroblastoma like all the other kids that respond completely differently. What is your N? And finding out what about your N of 1 that is unique and different to be able to treat them appropriately. Because in the medical, you have to advocate for yourself. Yes, I'm trying to get doctors to be able to do this. But until that happens, you need to remind yourself that, yes, there's a protocol. My kid is on the protocol or I'm on a protocol, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to respond like everyone else.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest lesson from talking with you today that I think I want people to grasp is that, because I think even in my parenting, when like my kids were young and we were going to the hospital or they were seeing doctors or whatever, you always kind of, I mean, this is obviously way before AI and this new technology ever existed, right? But like, this is a whole new parenting group that we're kind of reaching out to now. So the idea that your kid is going to respond to everything differently than some other kid, and like you said about the protocol situation, I mean, someone could eat an apple and then another kid can eat an apple and be completely allergic to that. And so obviously there's like a complete difference. So doctors being educated on this process, realizing that like every person is different. We can't just put people through protocols. Like the situation with your son and the chemo, like that's insane to me now that I'm thinking about it again, that it was like this. How did they just not know? Like right from the get-go, they knew, and they still had to go through this protocol to be able to get to the end point
of
like
stage.
Yeah, like why? Like just end it there. You already have your answer, and now continue from there. So having some kind of an AI generative or tools or technology or whatever that may be, that's like in your face, that like this is not just this patient's chart, right? Their information of history or whatever. This is clearly what's going on, educated responses, and now we can just kind of skip to the next step and move forward in that process. So I think people kind of like, I think I'm grasping, like realizing that you're an individual and having some education about it. Like I almost kind of want people, now that I'm thinking about it, parents to be sitting in a waiting room with their child before they go to a doctor or the ER or whatever the case may be, and just have ChatGPT on ready. Every time the doctor says something, every piece of paper you get, just snap photos and let ChatGPT give you responses. Like
it's another data point. It's not a bad thing, and it's an individualized data point versus the doctors who are thinking you as a cohort, and that's the danger. So ChatGPT is your individualized advocate in that sense. Yeah, great use of it.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I mean, definitely taking photos of things that you don't recognize and asking it, and ChatGPT is kind of unique that you could just be like, I'm a concerned parent and my child is here because of these symptoms and this is what the doctors say. And can you, like just get peace of mind from technology would be kind of unique. Well, talk to me about these bigger layers of this stuff, because I definitely want to talk more. You're on a couple boards that I looked at. Obviously, the American Board of Precision Medicine is one board that you're a part of, but you do some other things in this topic too. So dive me in a little deeper to your world. Give me some more information.
Yeah, so I will touch anything in this space. So one of the things I spend a lot of time on is helping parents in general personalize solutions. Obviously, I've been on the board of NYU Kids Hospital. I've been on multiple smaller boards. I've been on the board of Band of Parents, which is a neuroblastoma focus research facility. But I think the things that most excite me and what I'm digging in now, and I just got the call, so it's top of mind, is I'm finding so many parents reaching out to me saying, I want to start a school because I can't find anything for my N of 1. That excites me greatly. I think micro schools, school choice, different types of schools. I met with a founder yesterday who's building a school in the middle of a jungle. Okay. And the whole thing is eco-sustainability. Cool. Very cool. There should be more choice. We need more niche products in the education and healthcare space that allow people to find things that work for their N of 1.
Yep. Yeah, this is a very unique topic. I want to just kind of encourage people to go check everything out that you have, Abby. So abbybrody.com is the website. People can go over there, deep dive a little bit. There's contact forms. There's the ebook that you mentioned, the newsletter signups. There's all kinds of cool stuff. The N1 information is over there. You're also on Instagram. You kind of got sucked into that world. So
yes,
here you
but
are.
I just want to mention one thing. I do everything. There is nothing I am selling. Everything is free. I made a pact with God that if he saved my son, I would give back for the rest of the time. So
Awesome.
This is, my kid's not supposed to be here. He's playing rugby.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to sell except trying to help other people find solutions. So
that's amazing.
Go to my website. Everything's free. I'm just in it for humanity at this point.
Yeah, perfect. I appreciate you for your time today, and I'm glad we were able to kind of talk about this topic a little bit deeper. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the show. Please take a minute to head over to www.savfair.com and subscribe to our publication.